Welcome back. Well, earlier this morning and throughout the night, over 30 officers were injured after rioting and chaos broke out in Philadelphia after an officer-involved shooting. Yesterday, 27-year-old Walter Wallace was shot and killed by two police officers in West Philadelphia after he refused to drop his knife as he lunged at officers. The video's out there. The incident spurred a night of chaos in the city of brotherly love, as we all know it as, right? Hundreds of rioters, you see it right here, took to the streets and then began attacking officers, throwing everything at them. Not the kitchen sink, but bicycles, bricks, garbage cans, you name it. One of the many officers injured was a 56-year-old female sergeant who was run over by a pickup truck. The sergeant currently hospitalized with at least a broken leg. We don't know about more injuries. Local businesses damaged, most of them black businesses. Rioters entered them, stole merchandise, and then just threw the stuff out in the streets. An investigation is currently underway into that officer-involved shooting. But again, more actions by the tolerant left, most likely Antifa or BLM, or either bust in or they're locals, but tearing down, burning, looting, ruining neighborhoods in another American city before we even know all the facts of the case. This, my friends, is what the left now do. My next guest, he knows a lot about the left and the swamp and the pitfalls of politics in Washington, D.C. Oliver North joining me now to discuss more about this election, which I consider, Ollie, to be the most important election of our lifetime. I'm 45, you're a little older than me, not much, but I would say this is, right? I would say this is the most important. I mean, literally, I think we have good versus evil on the ballot, a radical left-wing agenda or the rule of law and the Constitution. That's what's on the ballot. Would you agree?
Couldn't agree more, Dan. The fact is that I've got 18 grandkids, and their future is up for grabs right now. This is certainly the most important election in my lifetime, and I was born when FDR was president. And I look at what's happening out there, and I'm saying to myself, events like what we saw happening last night in Philadelphia, where my dad was born, by the way, and where my dad went to college back in the 30s. What's happening in Philadelphia right now jeopardizes the entire future of this nation. On top of that, you've got the far left in the aftermath of this remarkable young woman who's now a justice of the Supreme Court. Immediately, the spokesman for the far left, the so-called progressives, is out sanctioning exactly what we've been asking Joe Biden to tell us about. What do you think about packing the Supreme Court of the United States? And she was out there just like that saying, we need more justices on the Supreme Court. And of course, the number they're going to pick is 4. They're also trying to make sure that in the aftermath of this election, you can stack the Congress of the United States, because they're actively talking about behind the doors. No press is asking these questions.
Right.
The press is not going after Biden on, do you really want to have U.S. senators appointed, elected, I guess, or picked, chosen in Washington, D.C., in Puerto Rico? And how about Guam? I mean, what we're looking at is overturning the system that was set up by the nation's founders. And that's going to deny my grandkids the opportunities you and I have had in life.
Ollie, I would say that's a theme of this show. Later here at the end of our show, in my Get Real segment, I'm going to discuss that. What I consider the Democrats now, and of course the president, and a lot on the right have dubbed them the do-nothing Democrats. Oh, they're doing something now. And what I would say is they are the sorry whiner losers from the playground who in the middle of the game want to change the rules because they're losing. And so let's add more senators, like you just said. Let's pack the court, go 13, 15. I've heard even higher than that, maybe 21, because they can't win the game, which they've been playing pretty well by cheating. Now they want to change the rules. And you know, I look back and I go, when Republicans lose, whether it be the Senate, the House, the White House, whatever, we just grin and bear it for 2, 4, or 6 years and then try to make a change when it's election time, right? We don't try to change the rules in the middle of the game.
If they change the rules, you will not see a conservative, right of center, whatever one wants to call it, government in the United States ever again. And I look at that and I say to myself, how is it we got to this point? Well, it's very crucial that we retain at least the Senate. I've got some friends of mine, and I voted on Saturday here in Virginia. They've never had so many pre-election day ballots cast in Virginia as we've had so far. And there's probably going to be more. We now hear about people who have, I guess, buyer's remorse. that they want to come back and maybe change their vote.
Right.
Now that they're learning about things like the extraordinary conspiracy that's gone on between Hunter Biden and his dad, the cover-up of this remarkable corruption. When you look at what's happening with the deals that were made with the People's Republic of China as a consequence of Joe Biden being vice president, we've got some serious problems in this country, brother. And if we lose the Senate, God help us.
That's another thing I'll be talking about and Get Real. I think that's the biggest concern, not obviously diminishing the fact that we need to win the presidency, of course. But if for some strange reason, I don't know how it would happen, unless they're just outright cheating, which, yes, there are examples of that, I'm pretty sure, and let's hope and pray, it will be President Trump for another 4. But you're right, Ali. If we lose the Senate and they control the House as well, and they are changing the rules when it comes to packing the Supreme Court, I can't imagine what else the runaway Democrats will then do with our democracy. Because you can't have a republic, which is what we're supposed to be, right, when you have only 2 political parties and the one is willing to go to any lengths to change the rules and cheat to get their agenda out there, no matter what. Not the free will of the people, but changing the rules so that they can stack the courts, stack the Senate, and put the rules in and put the people in place that they want. It's insane to me.
Dan, one of the things that astounds me is you and I have both been in the news business, right? Where are our colleagues?
Yeah.
But Biden is getting softballs tossed at him every day. No one's asking him about these kinds of problems that he's brought on himself. And you would have thought that by now there'd be a massive expose of what was going on. You can be sure if it had gone on in President Trump's family, it would certainly be covered. And so part of the collapse that we're eyewitnesses to and even participants in is the fact that our colleagues in the Fourth Estate are not doing what they're supposed to do to make sure that the First Amendment is being carried out. They don't care. And the fact is, if we end up with the other side running the country, we're going to be in deep, deep trouble. And thank God we now at least have the Supreme Court that is going to act, if they have to make sure that there is at least some kind of validity to the outcome of the election.
Let's hope so. Ali, you're so right. I think that really leads into one of the biggest problems. You're saying, just like I said with you, this is the biggest election in our history. And how did we get to this state of affairs where the Democrats feel so emboldened they can do anything they want to change the rules? And I think it's because right there, the fourth state, real journalism, the press, and now social media, stack that on top. They are such fans of the left, and they just promote the left-wing agenda that Americans are sucked in by that, because for decades, we believed our reporters. We believed the New York Times. You believed ABC, NBC, CBS. And now, because they are so far to the left and so biased, that I think is what is allowing Americans to just, I hate to say it, a big portion of them, overlook what's actually happening, what the Democrats are doing. If they really just stopped for a second and saw what was happening to our First Amendment, freedom of press, freedom of speech, I think they would feel differently. Because guess what? It could happen to them someday, too. That's what socialism and communism does, right? Ali, you know all about that from other countries you've traveled to.
That's right. Well, what they're trying to do is turn this country into Venezuela or Cuba before we opened up the relationships with them. And all of that, by the way, is part of the propaganda that's being foisted upon us by the Communist Chinese. These so-called Confucius centers that are around, Confucius Institutes, 140 some odd of them around the country, tied closely to the academic environment in the cities in which they're located. And what they're getting is from their professors, who, and I'm not taking this personally, but the professors who are leading this attack, many of the mayors who are leading this attack on our foundational documents created by all the way back to 1775 when they're debating a Declaration of Independence, and all the way up through today, what they're doing is convincing us that it really doesn't matter who's running the country. Well, it does, because the elites in Silicon Valley, they don't want to give up their ties to this government. I mean, sorry. They don't want to give up their They don't want to give up their ties to this government. Silicon Valley, the computer you and I are talking on, which is a wonderful computer, was made in China, for crying out loud.
Right.
And the PRC, the People's Republic of China, overt and covert actions to thwart UN sanctions, which no one seems to care about, ensures that the Ayatollahs are going to get a nuclear weapon and the means of delivering them. And at that point, all bets are off, because those folks are absolutely crazy.
Ali, I love that you pitched that book. You can hold her up the right way again and throw it out there because this is the biggest problem, and people have to wake up. America's #1 adversary is China. I don't care what you say. The emails are out there. They've been backed up. They've been proven to be real from the laptop. And let's be real, folks, with each other. The Biden family is corrupt. They have connections to China, and that is our biggest threat. Ali Noor, thank you so much for joining Real America again. They're giving me the hard rap. We got to run. Maybe come back Tuesday, Election Day, maybe. If you got time, you might be busy.
I'll do my best. How's that?
Okay, Ali. Thanks. We appreciate it, man. Yep. You take care. Don't go away. When we return, we're going to check in with our friends at Project Veritas. They're exposing even more voter fraud and corruption, and this time in Georgia and the Lone Star State. Don't go away.